The great hall of the alien palace was silent except for the sound of his boots echoing on the polished floor. The human soldier had been dragged here in chains, but even now, standing before the queen of an empire that stretched across the stars, he did not lower his eyes. His name was Daniel, and he had fought in the war that should never have happened. Humanity had been considered weak, unworthy of survival against empires that had lasted for thousands of years. Yet somehow, against all odds, the humans had survived. Every assault, striking back when the galaxy thought they would kneel. The alien queen sat high on her throne, her glowing green eyes locked on him. Her face was flawless, beautiful, and terrifying at the same time. Her braided hair glimmered with embedded lights, and her armor carried the sharp glow of red circuitry. She did not look like a ruler who could be reasoned with. She looked like a force of nature that bent others to her will. "Human," she said, her voice calm but carrying weight that shook the air. "You fought when surrender would have saved your kind. You defied every warning I gave you, and yet you still live." Daniel's chains rattled as he raised his head. "If I live, it is not because of surrender. It is because we don't give up. Not in war, not in peace, not ever." A ripple of whispers spread through the gathered alien nobles who stood along the golden walls of the hall. To speak so boldly to the queen was madness. But Daniel had learned long ago that showing fear was the same as signing your death sentence. The queen studied him for a long moment, and then rose from her throne. She descended the stairs slowly, her armored heels clicking against the polished floor. Her eyes glowed brighter the closer she came. When she stopped in front of him, Daniel could see her expression had shifted. It was not rage. It was something deeper, something that made his chest tighten. "You," she whispered, her voice soft now, almost intimate. "Do you even realize what you have done?" Daniel frowned. "I fought to protect my people. If that is what you mean, then yes." The queen's lips curved into a smile that did not reach her eyes. "No, human. You did more than fight. You broke laws that no outsider has ever dared to touch." She circled him like a predator circling prey. "You touched me. You left your mark on me," the crowd gasped. Even Daniel's heart missed a beat. He did not understand at first, but her words cut through him slowly like a blade. The queen stopped behind him, her voice close to his ear. "You carried your fire into my blood. You gave me what no alien has ever dared to give." She leaned closer, her words a whisper meant only for him. "You impregnated me, human." The silence that followed was so heavy it felt like the entire palace was holding its breath. Daniel's thoughts spun like a storm. He remembered the night in the captured city, when the war had slowed, and he had been pulled into the queen's presence not as an enemy, but as a strange curiosity. She had studied him like a scientist studies fire. That night, she had chosen not to kill him. That night, something impossible had happened between them, something both had kept buried. Now with the whole court watching, her words exposed the truth. Daniel clenched his fists. "If that's true, then why am I still in chains?" The queen's hand touched his jaw, turning his face to look at her. "Because you tried to leave," she said. "You thought you could escape after binding yourself to me in the oldest way my kind recognizes. You thought you could run back to your people, but you cannot. Not now, not ever." Her voice rose as she turned back to the hall, her words echoing against the golden walls. "This human belongs to me. He carries the fire of life in my blood. And no one, no human, no empire, no council will take him away." The nobles lowered their heads in shock, while Daniel stood frozen, realizing the depth of the trap he had fallen into. This was no longer a war of guns and fleets. This was something far more dangerous. The queen had claimed him, and every eye in the palace now saw him not as a prisoner of war, but as the forbidden mate of their ruler. For the first time since the war began, Daniel felt fear, not for his people, but for himself, because the queen was not lying. She would never let him go, The throne hall remained heavy with silence after the queen's declaration. No one dared speak, not even the alien generals who had once commanded fleets against Earth. Their eyes, glowing with confusion and unease, flicked between their ruler and the lone human still bound in chains. Daniel's chest rose and fell as he tried to steady his breathing. He had fought in trenches where plasma fire lit the sky, faced war beasts that crushed men with a single swipe, but nothing compared to the weight of her words. The queen had bound him not with shackles of steel, but with something far more powerful, her claim before her entire court. She returned to her throne, her armored robes flowing around her like the wings of a predator. Her voice carried across the hall. "Leave us, all of you." The nobles and guards hesitated. Then, one by one, they lowered their heads and backed away, their footsteps echoing softly as they retreated through the golden doors. The hall darkened as the torches dimmed, leaving only the glow of chandeliers above and the faint red light running along the queen's armor. Now only two remained, Daniel and the queen. He forced himself to speak, his voice low but steady. "You don't own me. Whatever happened, it was not meant to be this." Her glowing green eyes narrowed. "Not meant to be? Do you even understand what you've done? My kind does not create life so easily. Our blood is bound by ancient codes. For centuries, no union has ever taken root. And yet..." She leaned forward, her voice trembling with controlled rage. "Your seed did what entire dynasties of chosen suitors could not. Do you think I will let that go? Do you think I will let you go?" Daniel's mind raced. He remembered fragments of that night, the queen watching him with fire in her gaze, studying the way his body moved, the stubbornness in his voice when he spoke of survival. He had thought it was curiosity, perhaps even manipulation. Now he realized it had been something deeper, an experiment that had gone too far. "You could have told me," Daniel said. His voice cracked with anger. "Instead you chained me like a prisoner." Her lips curved into a smile that was both cruel and beautiful. "You are not a prisoner, human. You are something far more dangerous. You are mine." She rose again, descending the steps until she stood before him. Her hand reached out, brushing against the chain that bound his wrists. The touch of her fingers sent a strange chill through his skin. She released the chain, and it clattered to the floor. Daniel rubbed his sore wrists, but he did not step back. His voice was sharp. "If you think fear will keep me here, you're wrong. My people will come for me." The queen's laughter rang out, low and melodic, echoing against the grand walls. "Your people? Do you think they could breach my palace? Do you think they could even find you now? You are hidden where no human fleet dares to enter." Her eyes glowed brighter. "And besides, even if they came, you would not leave. You are bound by something stronger than chains. You carry my life inside me now. Your blood is part of my blood. No human rescue can cut that bond." Daniel swallowed hard, the weight of her words pressing against him. A part of him wanted to shout, to deny it, but deep down he knew she was not lying. Whatever had been done, whatever impossible bond had formed, it could not be undone. Still, he would not bow. "If you think that makes me your slave, you're mistaken. I may be bound to you, but I will never serve you." The queen's smile faded. Her expression hardened into something sharper, colder. She stepped close, so close that he could feel the heat radiating from her armored body. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You already serve me, human. You gave me what no warrior, no king, no chosen mate of my kind ever could. You gave me life." Her hand touched her abdomen briefly, a gesture so subtle he almost missed it. For the first time, Daniel saw something other than fury in her eyes. For just a heartbeat, there was a flicker of vulnerability quickly buried beneath her steel mask. She turned away sharply and walked back to her throne, her voice echoing again with cold authority. "You will remain here. You will eat, breathe, and sleep under my roof. You may rage, you may resist, but you will not leave. Not until I decide." Daniel stood frozen, his fists clenched at his sides. He had faced armies and stared death in the eye without breaking, but this was different. The Queen had turned the battlefield into something he did not understand, a war of blood, life, and impossible bonds. For the first time, Daniel realized he was not only fighting for survival. He was caught in the heart of a war he had never prepared for, the war of belonging to the alien Queen. The palace was not like any place Daniel had ever seen. Days passed in a strange rhythm, without sunlight or night, only the glow of chandeliers and the pulsing lights that lined the alien architecture. The walls hummed faintly as if alive, and every step he took seemed to echo endlessly in the silence. He was given food, water, and quarters far more luxurious than any soldier's bunk. Yet every doorway was guarded. Every corridor watched. Daniel soon realized the Queen's words were true. He was not in a cell, but he was no less trapped. The guards never spoke to him, only stared with glowing eyes that made his skin crawl. They looked at him not with contempt, but with something stranger, fear, and perhaps envy. One night, Daniel stood at the edge of his chamber, staring at the great doors. He could feel the weight of the Queen's power pressing down on him, even from afar. But he also felt the fire of his people burning inside him. He had survived too much to simply sit and accept his fate. He whispered to himself, "I have to get out of here." His chance came when the palace grew quiet. The guards at his door shifted and then left, summoned by some silent call. For the first time, the way before him was open. Daniel's heart pounded as he slipped into the corridor, moving quickly but quietly. His boots barely touched the floor as he kept to the shadows, guided only by instinct. The palace was a labyrinth. He passed towering statues of alien kings, glowing walls carved with shifting patterns, and long empty halls where the air smelled of metal and flowers. Every corner threatened to reveal another guard, but luck stayed with him. He found a narrow stairwell and began to climb, but at the top he stopped. There, waiting for him, was the Queen. Her glowing eyes pierced through the shadows as if she had known every step he would take. She stood in silence, her figure framed by the golden light of a tall window. She was not wearing her armor this time, only a long robe of black silk woven with crimson light. She looked both regal and terrible. Daniel froze, his fists clenched. "You knew." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Did you think you could hide from me, human? Did you think I would not feel it the moment you stepped beyond the room I gave you?" His anger boiled over. "I won't stay here. You can't cage me like some pet. I'm not yours." The Queen's smile vanished. She stepped forward, and the ground itself seemed to tremble with her voice. "Not mine? You carry my blood's future inside me, and you dare to say you are not mine?" Daniel took a step back, but his voice was steady. "You can threaten me, but I'll fight. I'll fight you, your guards, your empire, whatever it takes to get free." For a moment, the Queen's face softened. She looked at him not as a ruler looking at a subject, but as something else, something harder to name. Then her hand lifted, and before Daniel could react, the air thickened around him. His body stiffened as if unseen chains wrapped around his limbs. He struggled, teeth gritted, but the force held him. The Queen's eyes glowed brighter as she closed the distance between them. She stopped inches from him, her voice low, trembling with fury and something unspoken. "You think freedom means leaving me," she whispered. "But you cannot see what has already been bound. You gave me something that cannot be taken back. You are tied to me in ways no blade, no wall, no fleet can break." Her hand reached up and touched his chest, right over his heartbeat. "Do you feel that? That is not only your life. It is ours. You will try to run again, and again I will find you. Until you learn the truth." The invisible force released him suddenly, and Daniel stumbled back, gasping. His chest burned where she had touched him. For the first time, he felt a strange pulse, faint but undeniable, echoing with his heartbeat. It terrified him more than her chains. The queen turned away, her robe sweeping the floor as she moved toward the window. She spoke without looking back. "Try again if you must. Each attempt only proves you belong to me." Daniel clenched his fists. He wanted to shout, to curse her, but no words came. Instead, he stood in silence, staring at her back, knowing she was right about one thing. Something had changed inside him. Something he could not explain and could not undo. And for the first time, he began to wonder if escape was even possible. Days turned into weeks, though Daniel could not measure time in this palace. There was no sun, no moon, only the glowing chandeliers and the endless hum of walls, alive with energy. His chamber was still guarded, but after his attempt to escape, the queen no longer chained him. It was worse than chains, her confidence in holding him by something unseen. Daniel tried to resist. He trained his body, pushing against the limits of the alien space, doing drills like a soldier preparing for war. At night he stared at the ceiling, thinking of Earth, of the comrades he had lost, of the freedom he once fought for. But the memory of the queen's words would always return, pressing against him like a shadow he could not escape. One evening, as he paced his chamber, the doors opened. The queen entered without guards, her robe flowing behind her. She dismissed the attendants outside, leaving them alone. Daniel stood still, his fists clenched, waiting for her to speak. "You have been restless," she said calmly. Her glowing eyes studied him, as though reading his very thoughts. "You do not eat enough. You do not sleep enough. Do you think weakening yourself will help you break free?" He glared at her. "I don't need your concern. I only need a way out." She stepped closer, her voice low. "You speak of escape as if your body is not already betraying you." Daniel stiffened. He hated that she was right. He had felt it more and more, the strange pulse in his chest, the echo that was not his alone. Sometimes at night, he swore he could feel another heartbeat inside him, soft but undeniable. "What did you do to me?" His voice was sharp, almost desperate. The queen's gaze softened, though her face remained proud. "I told you. You gave me life. Our bond is not of my making. It is the oldest law of nature, written in blood and carried across stars. You cannot sever it, no matter how you try." Daniel shook his head. "That's not true. There's always a way. Bonds can be broken. I've seen empires fall." Her eyes flared brighter, and she stepped so close he could feel the heat of her presence. "But have you seen life created from nothing? Have you seen your enemy carry your fire inside her body?" Her voice dropped, almost a whisper. "I carry it now, Daniel. I feel it growing every day. You think this is about chains, but it is about survival. I will not let you leave because I will not let it die." Daniel's anger faltered. For the first time, he heard something raw in her voice: fear. The queen who had commanded fleets, who had crushed worlds, who had declared him hers before an entire court, was afraid. He looked at her, searching for weakness, but what he saw shook him. Her hand brushed against her abdomen again, that small, unguarded gesture he had noticed before. Her glowing eyes flickered, no longer filled with only fury. "You're protecting it," he whispered. She turned away sharply, as if ashamed he had seen too much. "Do not mistake me, human. My anger is real. You bound yourself to me without thought, and I will not forgive it. But the life inside me is beyond anger. It is beyond empire or war. It is everything." Silence stretched between them. Daniel's heart pounded. He hated her control, hated that she had trapped him, but a part of him felt something else now, a weight of responsibility he could not deny. Finally, he spoke. "If this is true, if what you say is real, then why me? Why not one of your kind?" The queen turned back to him, her expression unreadable. For a moment, her regal mask cracked, and he saw something almost human in her eyes. Because none of my kind could. For centuries they tried. But only you did what they could not. Daniel swallowed hard. He wanted to argue, to call her a liar, but the certainty in her voice shook him. The bond in his chest pulsed again, and for the first time, he wondered if the queen was not the only one trapped. She stepped back toward the door, her voice regaining its cold strength. Rest, human. Rage if you must, but remember this, you are bound not because I demand it, but because life itself has chosen it. The doors closed behind her, leaving Daniel alone. He sat on the edge of his bed, his hands trembling. For the first time since the war began, he did not know who his enemy truly was. Daniel could not stop thinking about her words. Every night the queen's voice haunted him. You are bound not because I demand it, but because life itself has chosen it. He wanted to believe it was just manipulation, another trick to control him. But the strange pulse inside his chest said otherwise. He decided to test it. In his chamber, he pulled a shard of metal from a broken ornament he had found, sharp enough to cut skin. He sat on the floor and pressed it against his palm, his jaw tight. If this bond was real, then pain might show him the truth. With a deep breath, he dragged the shard across his hand. Blood welled up instantly, dripping to the floor. The pain was real, but it wasn't only his. Daniel gasped as a wave of sensation surged through him. He felt something else, distant yet connected, as if his wound had echoed beyond his body. His chest burned, his heart racing, and he staggered to his feet. He clutched his chest and whispered, "No, this isn't possible." The doors to his chamber slammed open. The queen strode in, her eyes blazing brighter than he had ever seen. Her robe flowed behind her, and her hand pressed against her own abdomen as if struck by an unseen force. She stopped before him, her gaze furious and pained. "You fool," she hissed. "Do you think I cannot feel what you do? Do you think your suffering does not reach me?" Daniel's hand dripped with blood. He stared at her, chest heaving. "So it's true. The bond is real." Her anger trembled with something more desperate. She seized his wrist and pressed her glowing hand against the wound. To his shock, the bleeding slowed. The glow spread across his palm, knitting flesh together as if time itself reversed. Within moments, the cut sealed, leaving only a faint line. Daniel pulled back, shaken. "Why? Why save me if I'm nothing but your prisoner?" The queen's eyes softened, but her voice remained hard. "Because your life is not only yours. If you die, the bond breaks. And if the bond breaks, what grows inside me dies with it. I will not allow that." Daniel swallowed hard, struggling against the storm in his chest. He wanted to hate her, to scream, but another thought took root. If his life and hers were tied, then every step he took now mattered more than just survival. It meant any choice he made would affect not only himself but her. And what she carried. "I didn't ask for this," he said through clenched teeth. "I didn't choose it." The queen's gaze held his firmly. "Nor did I, but it happened. And now it binds us both. Do you think I enjoy this weakness, human? Do you think I take pleasure in being tied to you, in feeling your every reckless thought?" For the first time, Daniel heard not only anger but weariness in her voice. She stepped back, her hands trembling slightly at her sides. "I have ruled empires. I have conquered worlds. Yet one night with you has undone centuries of law. My people would see it as betrayal. That is why you cannot leave." "Not yet." Daniel's chest tightened. He had thought only of escape, of breaking free, but now he saw the weight she carried. Her entire empire was watching her every move. If they discovered what she admitted to him, it would shake her throne. He whispered, "You're afraid of them." Her eyes flashed, but she did not deny it. Instead, she turned sharply toward the door. "Rest, you will need your strength soon." Daniel frowned. "For what?" She paused at the threshold, her back to him. There are whispers in the court. Some already suspect the truth. And if they act, they will not come for me. They will come for you. The doors closed, leaving him in silence. Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, his thoughts heavy. He had tested the bond and found it real. But now he realized something worse. He was not only bound to the Queen, he had become the key to her survival, and perhaps the target of her enemies. For the first time, Daniel wondered if escape was no longer the greatest danger. Perhaps the real fight was about to begin inside the palace itself. The palace had grown restless. Daniel could feel it in the way the guards watched him now, no longer with silence, but with suspicion. Whispers filled the corridors, voices cutting off when he passed. The bond he shared with the Queen was no longer a secret, though none dared speak of it openly in her presence. One evening, the tension broke. Daniel was summoned to the Great Hall. The doors opened, and he stepped into a sea of hostile eyes. The nobles stood in ranks along the golden walls, their robes glowing faintly in the light. At the center sat the Queen on her throne, her posture rigid, her expression unreadable. He stopped before her, fists clenched. "Why am I here?" Her voice was steady but sharp. "Because the court demanded it. They want answers." A tall noble stepped forward, his voice like a blade. "Your Majesty, we have served you faithfully for centuries. But now we hear whispers that a human, a weak outsider, has touched what no one of our blood could. If this is true, then you have broken the ancient law. You have betrayed the Empire." A murmur rippled through the hall. Dozens of glowing eyes turned toward Daniel, filled with fury. The Queen rose slowly, her robe flowing around her like liquid fire. "He is mine," she declared. Her voice thundered against the walls. "What grows within me is not betrayal, it is proof. Proof that we are not bound by limits. Proof that life itself has chosen to move forward." The nobles hissed, some shouting in anger. One drew a curved blade, its edge glowing with heat. "Then the solution is simple," he spat. "Kill the human, and the shame ends here." Daniel's muscles tensed as guards moved forward, their weapons raised. He had no armor, no rifle, only his bare hands and the fire in his blood. His chest pounded with the bond's strange pulse, louder than ever. For a moment, fear clawed at him. But then something inside him shifted. If he died, the Queen's bond would break. She had said so herself. And judging by the fear in her eyes now, it was true. Daniel stepped forward, placing himself in the center of the hall. His voice carried, raw and defiant. "You want me dead? Then strike me down. But know this, if you kill me, you don't just kill a human. You kill your Queen's heir. You kill her future." The hall froze. Every noble stiffened, their glowing eyes widening. The truth hung heavy in the air. Even those who had raised weapons hesitated, their grips faltering. The Queen descended from her throne, her gaze burning brighter than ever. She moved to stand beside Daniel, her voice cold as iron. "You see now. Harm him, and you destroy me. Destroy what is already mine. Is that what you want? To end the bloodline of your Queen before it begins?" Silence crushed the hall. No one dared move. At last, the noble with the blade dropped to one knee, his weapon clattering against the floor. One by one, the others followed, bowing their heads in reluctant surrender. The court bent to her will, though resentment still simmered in the air. The Queen looked at Daniel, her face unreadable. Then she turned back to the throne, her voice soft but firm. "This human will remain here under my protection. His life is bound to mine. No one will touch him." The hall emptied slowly, leaving only the two of them once again. Daniel let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. He turned to her, his jaw tight. "You used me. My life is just a shield for your throne." Her glowing eyes softened. "No, Daniel. You are more than that." For a moment, her hand brushed against her abdomen again. Then she stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper. "You are the one bond I cannot deny, even if I wanted to." Daniel stared at her, torn between anger and something deeper he could not name. He had fought all his life for freedom, but now freedom seemed like a word he no longer understood. He was tied to her by something no weapon could cut. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "Then this isn't just your fight anymore. It's mine too." The Queen's lips curved into the faintest smile. For the first time, her gaze was not that of a ruler commanding obedience, but of someone who had found an equal dot in the silence of the vast hall. Under the glow of golden light, Daniel realized the truth. He might never escape the bond. But maybe, just maybe, he didn't want to.